Chapter 3, Lesson 1, Part 1, Dividing Whole Numbers by Unit Fractions. First vocabulary, fraction means part of a whole. In a fraction, we have a numerator. It's the top part of the fraction, and that represents how much of the whole we are talking about. Then we have the denominator. It's the bottom part of the fraction, and that's how many parts the whole is split up into. A unit fraction, it's a fraction with 1 as the numerator. So we're going to be using that this lesson. And then we have reciprocal, the flipped form of a fraction. All right, so how to divide whole numbers by unit fractions. So for example, we have 5 divided by 1/3. So they drew us a picture here. They had 5 holes. That's what each of these rectangles represents. And then they split up each of the holes into 1/3. That's what each of these represents. Okay, so as you see, we want to see how many 1/3s are in there. And count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 5 divided by 1/3 is the same as saying 5 divided by 3, which equals 15. So when we divide by any kind of fraction, we actually can use the method that I like to call keep, flip, change. Which is abbreviated, of course, KFC, like the restaurant name. A lot of people remember it that way. So we keep the first number, which is 5, and we flip the second number, so in this case 1/3, to its reciprocal, which is 3 over 1, or just 3, and then we change to multiplication. So 5 times 3 is 15. All right, so we have another example here, number 10. 3 divided by 1/8. And they give us 3 holes and split them up into 8 pieces. And you're basically just counting how many 1/8 pieces there are. Or we can do the keep, flip, change method. I keep my first number, 3. I flip 1/8 to its reciprocal, which just actually equals 8. And I change it to multiplication. So 3 times 8 is 24, which you can see is the same number of spaces here, pieces here, because we have 8 in each. So here's another example, 7 divided by 1/5. I'm keeping my first number. I'm flipping my second to its reciprocal, which is 6 over 1, or just 6. I change it to multiplication, and now I can just multiply across. 7 times 6 is 42. Try 8 divided by 1/5 on your own. Pause the video and come back and check. Keep the first number. Change the second to its flip the second to its reciprocal and change to multiplication. 8 times 5 then is 40. Then we have some examples here, just real world examples. So Joshua cut 3 strings into a number of equal pieces. Each piece is half of a string. Into how many pieces does Josh cut the string? You're splitting up a whole here, so that is a division problem. So we have 3 divided by 1/2. I keep my first number, flip my second, change it to multiplication, and 3 times 2 equals 6. So let's try another real world example. A jar contains 6 liters of water. It is poured equally into some bottles. Each bottle contains 1/7 liter of water. How many bottles are there? So I'm starting with 6, and I'm splitting it up into groups of 1/7. So that's a division problem. So as we know, we're going to keep our first digit, flip our 7th to the reciprocal, change it to multiplication, and now I can just multiply 6 times 7 and get 42. So there are 42 bottles. Then here we have number 14. George cut 7 tiles into pieces that were 1/9 of a tile. How many pieces George cut the 7 tiles. So I'm starting with 7. I'm splitting them up into groups of 1/9. And again, because I'm splitting them up, that tells me it's a division problem. So now I'm going to do the math by keeping my first digit, flipping my second to its reciprocal, and multiplying straight across. 7 times 9 is 63. So my answer would be 63 pieces. So that's it for dividing whole numbers by unit fractions. Just remember, keep, flip, change.